Jon Jones earns the first finish in UFC title fight history, which stemmed from a spinning back kick to the body. Spinning heel kick put the heavyweight goat on all fours before he finished him with a few punches. Seeing Jones fight like he did tonight and him leaving the door open for a potential unification bout with Tom Aspinall is about the best that we could hope for. After joining Daniel Cormier, Henry Cejudo and Amanda Nunes as the only two division champions to successfully defend their belts in both weight classes, Jon Jones wants to either fight Alex Pereira or make FU money to face Tom Aspinall next. He says if neither of his demands are met, he will walk away from the UFC and retire. Jon Jones says he doesn't care about people calling him Duck and trolls the duck calling fans by changing his Insta DP with a duck picture. Dana White gives his immediate reaction to Jon Jones' TKO win over Stipe Miocic and says that he doesn't have a great relationship with Jon Jones overall, but he can't ignore his brilliance. Dana said anyone out there that thinks Jon Jones is scared of anybody is crazy. He said even Francis Ngannou left the UFC so that he didn't have to fight Jon Jones. White compares Jon Jones to Elon Musk and says that tonight told him that there is no way that he makes Jones versus Pereira. He says that if both Jones and Pereira hound him to make it, maybe he'll consider, but he feels that Jones is too big for him and it doesn't make any sense. He says that Jones vs Aspinall will be the biggest heavyweight fight in UFC history, but he thinks that Jones will now disappear and they will get it done by paying Jones a good amount when he will eventually resurfaces. As soon as we got hope, Jon Jones opens as the betting underdog in a potential future matchup with Tom Aspinall. Stipe Miocic, on the other hand, has announced his retirement from MMA. White says that Stipe has had an incredible career and that he is going to have a great life beyond fighting. Charles Oliveira becomes the first fighter in the UFC history to reach 20 performance bonuses following his fight of the night decision win versus Michael Chandler at UFC 309. Fans were worried about him after Chandler's 5th round illegal blows, so as soon as he walked back to the locker room, he reacted to his win and gave a quick update to his fans. Oliveira agrees with fans' comments and says Michael Chandler not only punched him in the back of the head, but he cheated multiple times in order to win their rematch. In his post-fight interview, he called out the winner of Islam Makhachev vs Arman Tsarukyan fight, which is rumored to take place at UFC 311. Dana White was happy with his performance and says that if Oliveira wants to be cage side for Islam vs Arman fight, then they will fly him in from Brazil and make it happen. Talking about Michael Chandler's potential fight with Conor McGregor, Dana White says that Conor McGregor will come back in late 2025, so there is a lot of time to figure out what they want to do with him. He says that Conor hits him up all the time saying that he wants to fight, so if his return is earlier, that would be great too. Nickal earns a unanimous decision win over Paul Craig, and it was a perfect matchup at this stage of his career that showed the evolution of his striking. Nickal jokes about the boos from the crowd during his fight and say that I was pumped. How many times does MSG chant your name for that long? Dana White says that they've had discussions with Nickal about the fact that he needs work and that they will move him along incrementally. He feels that the expectations from him are just so high. Nickal during the fight week had challenged Nurmagomedov and guaranteed a quick finish, but after his performance at UFC 309, he didn't even mention his name. Jim effing Miller gets his 13th submission win in the UFC when he submits Damon Jackson in round 1. Only Charles Oliveira has more. Miller says getting to 50 UFC wins would be a hard stop for his career, so his current goal is to get 30 UFC wins in his 50 UFC fights. He currently has 27 wins in 45 fights, which means he needs 3 more wins in his next 5 fights. Dana White says deal on Jim Miller retiring after his 50th UFC fight. Miller's opponent Damon Jackson, by the way, officially retires following his submission defeat at UFC 309. Other than these huge wins, Fighting Nerd's Mauricio Rafi gets the job done with a unanimous decision to kick off the main card and then calls out Benoit Saint-Denis, while Eduarda Moura defeats Veronica Hardy by a unanimous decision to kick off the preliminary card and then calls out Ivana Petrovic. After losing 2 rounds, Oban Elliott flattens Basil Hafiz with punches in round 3. First finish in the UFC career of Oban Elliott and the first time that Basil Hafiz has been finished in his professional career. Ramiz Brahimaj puts Mickey Gall out with punches in round 1 and then gifted Joe Rogan his grandfather's Albanian cliche at his post-fight speech. Marcin Tybura defeats Jonathan Diniz via TKO doctor stoppage after round 2. Diniz looked like he'd been in a car crash after those elbows from Tybura. Viviane Araujo defends her top 10 spot in women's flyweight rankings against Karine Silva with a unanimous decision win, while Jonathan Martinez lost his number 13 spot to Marcus McGee, losing the fight via unanimous decision. David Onama also gets the tough unanimous decision win over newcomer Roberto Romero. As far as Chris Weidman vs Eric Anders is concerned, the fight had been cancelled due to Anders' medical issues. Jon Anik reveals on the UFC 309 broadcast that the new UFC gloves will be back for the Fight Night event starting next week at UFC Macau, but UFC 310 will be the old gloves. Dana explains that they will be going forward with the old gloves, but the issue is that they do not have enough of them yet, so they need to get more of them. And that's all for now. I take the responsibility to keep you updated, so you don't need to find the news here and there. So hit the like button if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the Fight Book to stay updated with the fight world. Now I'll see you in the next video, so till then, do whatever you want.